Okay, we're now going on to the next section, which is looking at break-even. The break-even price is the price that you've got to sell your shares at so you don't make a loss. It's very important to know this so that when you buy and sell, you can work out when your profits are going to start kicking in and when you've just made enough money so you can get out without losing any. Now, in doing this calculation, you're not working out a profit that you're going to make. It's just telling you the minimum cost you need to sell them at, or the minimum price you need to sell them at, so you cover your costs. There's a procedure that we go through. The first step is to buy the shares. Okay, that's doing the consideration, brokerage and GST. Then what you do is you add on the fees involved in buying. So they are the brokerage and GST. So you add them on. Then you divide this by the number of shares that you've purchased, and that will give you the selling price needed to cover your costs. Now you may need to round this up a bit because of the fact that when you sell them at a higher price, your brokerage and GST is going to be higher. Then what you do is you sell all the shares at the new price to check to see if you've broken even. If not, then you need to add a cent. Generally you need to add a cent to your break-even price, and that should cover your costs. But you must do this step 4 of selling the shares, otherwise what happens is you cannot show that you've actually broken even, and you need to be able to show that in a question. So let's have a look at an example. It's the best way to go. You buy 3,400 KMB shares for $8.77. You need to calculate the break-even price with a 2% brokerage and a 10% GST. So to start with, first buy the shares. Your consideration is 3,400 times $8.77. Your brokerage is 2%. Your GST is 10%, similar to the other questions we've been doing. So these shares cost you a total of $30,474 to buy, this price here. So when you sell them, your shares have got to be at least $30,474.00. Otherwise, you haven't broken even. So, step 2. Step 2, we add on the fees that were involved in buying. So that is your GST and the brokerage. So our brokerage was $596.36. Our GST was $59.64. We add them on and we get $31,130. Step 3. What we do is now divide this by the number of shares that you've purchased. So we divide it by $34,000, or 3,400 shares, sorry, which gives you 9.1559. So that's $9.15 and 0.59 cents. So what we need to do is we need to round it up. So this is the total from part 2. This is the number of shares that you've bought. That gives you exactly how much you've got to have. So we round it up to the next full cent. If in doubt, round up to the next full cent because those fees and charges go up when you sell them. So now you've got to check by selling. So $31,144 is your consideration when that's at $9.16. Brokerage, GST, take them away because you're selling, and you'll end up with $30,458.83. Now you need to check to see if you have broken even. Now let's have a look. We bought them for $30,474. We sold them for $30,458. So we have not covered our costs. We're a bit less. So if we add 1 cent to the selling price, which is 1 cent, so it takes it to $9.16, we would raise about another $34 because 3,400 times 1 cent gives us $34. If we add that $34 onto the $30,458.83, we break even with about $15.17 left over. So our break-even price would be $9.17. So just running over that again. We haven't covered our costs because we bought them for $30,474. We sold them for $30,458. So we're about $20 out. Okay? What we need to do is we need to add a cent. If we add 1 cent to our selling price, we'll get another $34 because we get the $34 from the 3,400 shares that we have at 1 cent each. Get $34. Added onto this, it takes us over the $474 that we need to cover. So it all works out quite nicely, and we'll end up with a bit of money left over, so our break-even price will be $9.17. You don't have to do the calculation, the final selling the shares again. You just have to do this and demonstrate that you have got enough money to cover your shares. So that is the break-even price. These questions are really good to have in a test, because what happens is that you have to demonstrate buying the shares and then demonstrate selling the shares, which is part of the course. So there are 3 questions you can do on these ones, which is page 7, 7C3, 1, 3 and 4.